All right, today we are going to dive deep into something fascinating, the very architecture of our thoughts. We're going to explore an ancient system that's literally designed to build crystal clear clarity out of total chaos. And we'll do it by meeting the mind's master builders.
You know the feeling, right? You're just drowning in the sea of ideas, information, and to-do lists. Everything feels scattered, disconnected. The real question is, how do you grab all of that mental static and actually forge it into something structured, powerful, and, real?
Well, there's an ancient mystical system, the Kabbalah, that points to a really specific answer, and it lies right here in this sphere called Hod. The best way to think about Hod, it's like the mind's operating system. It's specifically engineered to process information, establish order, and turn all those abstract thoughts into a tangible reality.
Here's the thing, though. Hod doesn't work alone. It operates through three incredibly powerful emissaries, three distinct forces. And they've been given this really evocative title, the Soul Catchers. They literally work as a team to capture, process, and manifest our ideas.
And here they are, Hemet, Vinduit, and Dagnet. Now these aren't just cool names. They represent three phases of a single, powerful mechanism for creation. Just look at their sigils, their symbols. You can feel how they're each unique, but also deeply interconnected. We're about to find out exactly why.
So, and this is the crucial point, these emissaries aren't just some dusty, mystical figures. Nope, they represent a dynamic three-step algorithm for transforming a thought into reality. It's a super precise process for building structure, right from the ground up. And the process is just brilliantly logical when you break it down. First, with Hemet, you isolate the absolute, unshakable truth. No fluff. Second, with Vite, you build a structure around that truth. And finally, with Dagnet, you refine and renew that structure so it never gets stale. Let's take a look at each step.
So we have to start with the first emissary, Hemet, and he represents what is honestly probably the hardest step of them all, building a foundation on pure, unadulterated truth.
Hemet's job is basically to act as the ultimate filter. He forces a full stop, a total no-holds-barred reevaluation. And the price for this clarity is high, because you have to sacrifice your comfortable illusions, all those little self-deceptions you cherish. He clears out all the mental junk to create a space of radical, absolutely uncompromising honesty.
This quote really just nails his whole vibe. Imagine an energy field where you simply cannot lie, not to other people, and, way more importantly, not to yourself. That's the foundational space Hemet creates. It's the clean slate where everything else is going to get built.
Okay, so once Hemet has laid down that rock-solid foundation of truth, Vate, the master builder, shows up. His job is to give that truth form and function. This is step 2.
Vate is the great architect of our social world. He takes that pure, abstract truth that Hemet uncovered, and he translates it into real-world structures you can actually see and touch. We're talking about businesses, family traditions, personal authority, even a disciplined creative practice. He's the force that turns a brilliant idea into a successful company. But what happens when those amazing structures become outdated? What happens when your success starts to feel more like a prison? Well, for that we have to turn to the final and absolutely crucial step in the cycle, and that is embodied by Dagnet, the great transformer. Dagnet's job is so vital, even if it feels a bit ruthless. He is the force of evolution. He looks at what Vite has built, and he asks, is this still alive? Is it still growing? Or has it become a golden cage? If a project, or a belief, or a relationship is just not viable anymore, Dagnet delivers what's called the mercy blow. He clears away the old to make way for the new. It's a necessary destruction that fuels every rebirth.
So, you're probably getting it by now. These three forces are not working in isolation. Not at all. They are part of this continuous, dynamic cascade. Their real power, their magic, comes from how they interact with each other. This table, wow, it really lays out the flow perfectly. You can see it so clearly, right? Hemet's sacrifice gets you the truth. Vite's creativity then builds the social structures. And Dagnet's transformative energy makes sure everything is renewed. It's literally a complete blueprint for conscious growth.
Let's just look at the pairings for a second. The Hemet and Vite connection, that's all about building. Truth creates the foundation for real, stable expansion. Then you've got the Vite and Dagnet connection, which is all about refinement. Vite achieves success, and then Dagnet makes sure that success doesn't cause stagnation by clearing away what needs to go for the next big thing. And this just brilliantly illustrates the full circle nature of this whole process. The beginning and the end are so deeply connected. Think about it. Both Hemet and Dognet deal with a form of death. Hemet oversees the death of your illusions and your ego to get to the truth. And Dognet, he oversees the death of old, outdated forms to make space for new life. Together, they manage the entire cycle.
So what's the big takeaway from this really intricate system? Well, the Emissaries of Hod teach us that creating order and achieving real true success, it isn't passive. It has rules, and it definitely comes with a price.
And these are the non-negotiable rules of their operating system. Absolute honesty is mandatory. You have to be willing to let old parts of yourself die to make way for the new. Earthly success isn't some separate thing from spiritual work. It's its direct result. And finally, everything has a cost. True clarity demands sacrifice. It demands intense effort, and it demands the willingness to let go.
And that brings us to the final, really provocative question this whole system asks of us. Because if this algorithm for turning chaos into order is real, it all begins with that first demanding step from Heclet. So the question isn't just theoretical, it's a direct personal challenge. What comfortable illusion are you willing to sacrifice for absolute clarity?